Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. On the stairs in space, the many levels extended upwards. Mosha Luofeng became a beam of light passing through the many levels, quickly reaching the 333th level. This was the final level of the first part. And before him was a 1000m tall shrine, with the outer wall filled with peculiar statues. There stood two huge gold doors. The door was open. Shrine. Luofeng looked at the huge gold door that exuded shocking pressure. Before this door that was at least a few hundred meters tall, he was like a small ant. I'm here. Luofeng flew straight in. Mist covered the entire shrine. There floated a stone tablet amidst the mist. On it mysterious words appeared. After a while, the meaning of the words were: You are the 61201th inheritor who's come here. You have the right to obtain the title beginner, receiving the beginner reward. The moment the words finished, Luofeng looked all about, wanting to find the treasure. However, suddenly, to be able to get here, one is to finish all 3,333 levels of inheritance stairs. The second is like you, forcefully withstanding the demon note until you reach here. A complex mysterious voice resounded within the shrine, the language as something he had never heard before, yet Luofeng understood everything it said. He was shocked when he heard the words. Demon Mountain had existed for over 1 trillion years. That great being should have long left the place. To be able to withstand the demon note, you must at least be a universe knight. Simply being a universe knight means you already are an absolute being in the universe, yet you till I the little treasures I leave behind. Ha ha, since you've personally come, take the little treasures I've left. After the voice finished, 2 energy balls floated there. 1 golden energy ball. 1 grey ball. Mosha Luofeng stood in the shrine, looking up at the distant floating energy balls, laughing within. That being must have left behind a warning in the shrine. He must have discovered I didn't receive the 3,333 levels of inheritance, and barged my way here. He must have thought I withstood it all. However, still truly powerful. According to what he said, those able to withstand it must at least be a universe knight. Luofeng exclaimed within. Knights, they were split into space or time knights. In the universe, they were definitely absolute beings, to be able to build a universe country, dominate over trillions of galaxies, and countless lives. Even amongst the pinnacle of races, humans, the universe country leaders were huge figures. Amongst the weaker races in the universe, a knight would most probably be the ultimate power. From the looks of it, the one who left behind the inheritance should be stronger than a knight. His gaze fell on the 2 energy balls. In the mist, 1 ball of gold and another of grey floated. Rumble. The grey energy ball exploded open, and within it floated a grey stone board. It was about 3 m long, half a meter wide, and on it were incomparably complex naturally formed engravings. The center complex engravings actually formed a bird-like creature. The gold energy ball exploded open, and revealed a crystal-like gold fruit. From the first glance, it was similar to the cantaloupe melon Luofeng ate on Earth. However, even though this floating fruit was gold, it was translucent. One could faintly see the insides of it, and it was surrounded by gold energy. A stone board. A fruit. These were the treasures the inheritance palace left behind. Luo board. Barbata was shocked. The punk that left this behind sure is generous. The first part, and he actually leaves behind the treasure Luo board. What's that? Luofeng asked. This board is similar to your dark cloud shuttle. Barbata said, it is a flying weapon to be stood on. Flying spirit weapon. Luofeng was curious. The spirit weapons in the universe, to Luofeng, were considered cheap. The level 5 weapons may be expensive to the sector lords, but they didn't matter much to Luofeng. This naturally formed board before Luofeng, however, was something he had never seen or heard of. Is this board very expensive? Luofeng asked. What a joke. Barbata said, Luofeng, those level 1 to 5 spirit weapons are for beings under undyings to use. Undyings can't be bothered to use such weapons. Even one of the 9 god weapons, the Nanshan armament, unless it's an average undying, otherwise any others with strength would switch for something better. Luofeng nodded, this he knew. The origins for the weapons used by undyings come from many places. And the Luo board is considered an exceptional flying spirit weapon even amongst the undying weapons. Only few official levels have it. Most of them are emperor level at least. Barbata said. It is a naturally formed stone board from the universe, its power is shocking. Luo Feng was stunned. Only few official level have it. Then my teacher. Luo Feng asked. Which? Barbata asked, if it's true Yang, then he'll definitely be able to acquire it. My master was weaker. The flying spirit weapon he used was much weaker. After all, the price of the Luo Fu Liu board is 1 to 2 million mixed elements, and even so, very few people sell it. Luo Feng took a deep breath. Calm, he had to keep calm. 1 to 2 million mixed elements. Sick, really sick. He felt that he was very poor already. 1 million mixed elements, just what was that? Back then, when Luo Feng joined the auction, the little starfield DA-NA starfield was sold for only 1,000 mixed elements. Of course, that was still a small starfield. And the Black Dragon Mountain starfield was a big one. Its galaxies were 20 times that of the DA-NA starfield. As the galaxies were gathered together and easy to govern, its price could be at least 10 times. However, even so, its price was still only 300,000 to 1 million mixed elements. Usually with 500,000 mixed elements, one could already buy the Black Dragon Mountain starfield. 1 million was the absolute maximum. Just this stone board is comparable to the Black Dragon Mountain starfield. Luo Feng took a deep breath. If you brought this stone board to that undying in the sacred land Black Dragon, that undying will definitely be more than willing to exchange you for it. Barbata said, no matter what, the Black Dragon Mountain Empire is only one undying's entire wealth. Luo Feng nodded. He had to look at this problem from a different angle. It was different than on Earth. There were many countries that were personal wealths. Like the Ganwu Universe country was that leader's entire wealth. If it was said that there were treasures able to raise the Ganwu Universe country leader's power to that of the Primal Chaos City leader level, the Ganwu Universe country leader would definitely be more than willing to give away his country in exchange for the treasure. What's that fruit? Luo Feng asked. That I don't know. I've followed your teacher for over 60 million years. I've seen and heard a lot. This gold fruit, I've never seen before. I only know another special gold fruit. Barbata said, but it's obviously different from that one. Within the shrine, Luo Feng looked up at the two floating treasures, even after talking so much with Barbata, that had only been an instant. Suddenly, more words appeared on the stone tablet floating in the mist. Beginner reward. The first is the Luo Fu Liu board, flying weapon for a spirit reader. With it, survival chances in the dangerous universe greatly rises. The second is the gold soul fruit, a mysterious fruit that forms only once every 3,000 eras. It has a special quality that can change the soul, making it able to accept more inheritance. This first and second part will both have soul-changing treasures. Yet, still none have been able to fully accept it completely. Luo Feng realized. He immediately extended his arm and grabbed the two treasures, swiftly keeping both treasures in his space ring. Gold soul fruit, so it can change the soul. Luo Feng nodded. Seems right. If I were a being that leaves behind an inheritance, I will leave some treasures to try and aid the later generations in completing it. Luo Feng thought, it's a pity, even with the being's help, the hundreds of thousands of life forms that have been here, even the undyings haven't been able to succeed. Moshe Luo Feng swiftly left the shrine after acquiring the two treasures and flew down. He flew from high above in the shrine down to the 1237th level, standing beside the earth body, passing him the space ring and vanishing into the internal world. Luo Feng stood there, looking at the shrine, smiling. Ha ha. I got really lucky this time. He smiled. The universe is incredibly vast and mysterious, with many miracles, but only through acquiring them would it be a success. This is considered a success. With a wave, a translucent gold fruit appeared. Gold energy visible to the naked eye surrounded it. The gold soul fruit, a fruit formed once every 3,000 eras. According to the information from the shrine, it can change my soul, making it better suited to accept the inheritance. Luo Feng didn't hesitate and took a bite. As he broke through the skin of the fruit, the meat from within flowed like energy and permeated into his body. Even the skin outside became like an energy flow, permeating his body. Luo Feng could only feel a cold rush through his body, and that energy later swiftly entered his core. Permeating through the condensed crystal soul, the dark gold energy continued to flow in. His soul swiftly began to undergo changes. The blood color of his soul before now had hints of gold. How comfortable. The piercing pain from before is completely gone, there isn't a hint of fatigue, and my attention has risen 100 times. Luo Feng could clearly feel the evolution of his soul, even the drag from before is all gone. His eyes gleamed brighter. Ha ha ha. I can accept more of the inheritance now. Luo Feng was extremely excited. Luo Feng, with regards to the Luo Fu Liu board's training, let me warn you. Barbata's voice resounded within Luo Feng's mind. The soul kept evolving. Luo Feng spoke to Barbata simultaneously. The training of the Luo Fu Liu board, what's there to warn about? Using that board and normal spirit weapons are definitely different. Barbata said, the Luo Fu Liu board already has a thread of its own life. The training would be pretty close to that of the cloud contact vine. Slit my wrist. Luo Feng laughed. Anyway, you have to let it suck your blood first. Barbata said, even though it has a hint of life, it's not considered a life form. The cloud contact vine, however, is a life form. The training of the vine is easier, the Luo Fu Liu board is a little more troublesome. First it'll have to suck your blood. After which you'll have to bring it about and use spirit energy on it for long periods of time to appease it. It's like water seeping in and molding stone. It requires a long period of time for your spirit energy imprint to seep in. The moment it succeeds, the board will meld with your skin and take form. Barbata said. Luo Feng was surprised. Change. Is it the same as wearing a genetic armor? Even though it can take the shape of armor, the board doesn't have the auto-defensive ability. Its armor form will at most be similar to your outermost armor right now, only taking the brunt of impact. Barbata said, its proficiency is in flying. How fast it can fly will depend on you. Of course it's definitely a lot better than the Dark Cloud Shuttle. Luo Feng nodded. He immediately brought out the peculiar stone board and slit his wrist, fresh blood staining the stone. The stone board swiftly drank the blood, especially in the center where the engravings formed the bird picture. It seemed to move a little. After feeding it once, he used it as a cushion and sat crossed-legged on it, sending spirit energy into it gradually and simultaneously accepting the inheritance. The gold soul fruit was incredible. The fruit had the ability to affect undyings, much less Luo Feng. The lower the basics, the more obvious the effects. After eating that one gold soul fruit, Luo Feng felt an incredibly obvious change in his soul. The color of his soul became a mix of blood red and gold. I've been accepting the inheritance for over 3 years. My survival mission in Demon Mountain is completed. If I don't leave now, my teacher will be worried. Luo Feng ordered. Barbata, open connections to the virtual universe network. Understood. Barbata answered. Just like when a person was focusing on something important and didn't want to be disturbed. When Luo Feng was receiving the inheritance, he didn't want any calls to come through. After all, if he didn't close communications, his family and friends would all call once every few days. Connect to the virtual universe. He sent a thread of consciousness into the virtual universe network, arriving at Yuseong Mountain. Absolute beginning district, Luo Feng's villa. Shua. He appeared out of thin air. The guards and staff were all shocked from his arrival, after which they all regained their senses and bowed respectfully. Your Majesty. Your Majesty, Your Majesty, the leader sector Lord Ao Duo, who was lying in the distant chair and sipping wine immediately swiftly stood up, his face full of glee and surprise as he rushed over. Your Majesty, there hasn't been any news from you the past few years. We've been all very worried. Luo Feng laughed. The news of you accepting the impossible level mission has long spread. Within Yuseong Mountain, there's been a rumor that you died at Demon Mountain. The bald old man Ao Duo said. Died? Luo Feng frowned. Who spread this rumor? No idea. Ao Duo shook his head. Luo Feng looked in the southeast direction. There stood the primal region. He muttered, Mo Luo, I don't think you were the one who spread this rumor, right? However, don't worry. I'll surprise you very quickly. After which, Luo Feng swiftly walked into his villa and entered his study. Sitting before his desk, he opened his laptop and swiftly sent a mail to his friends, family and teacher, letting them know he was fine. At that moment, many calls came. Luo Feng, you are too vicious, you've disappeared for over 3 years. And in the impossible level mission, you really scared all of us, we really thought you died there in Demon Mountain. The Manka Prince Wuka shouted excitedly, immediately come over. We haven't seen you in years. I knew you definitely wouldn't have died. On the screen, Rong Jun smiled at Luo Feng. Father. Grandfather. This is my great-grandson. Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked at his huge family on the screen. He couldn't help but recall that reason behind the human race becoming one of the pinnacle races was due to its numbers. He had left Earth for about 200 years, and in these 200 years, his family had grown so much. The initial few, his parents, brother's family and his family. Now? The entire Luo family had become a huge family. If a 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 1,000,000 years had passed, the family members would range up to the millions and more. That would indeed be normal. You, get back now. On the screen Shushin was happy and yet angry. Luo Feng nodded. However, just as Luo Feng was about to leave immediately for his wife, his teacher Tru Yang Emperor personally came to the Absolute Beginning region. Absolute Beginning region, Luo Feng's living room. Tru Yang sat in the sofa staring at Luo Feng. Luo Feng stood obediently. No news in 3 years. Tru Yang's gaze was like lightning, sweeping past Luo Feng, and in that Demon Note Mountain. Speak, why did you close all communications in Demon Note Mountain? Teacher. Luo Feng bowed respectfully. This was my mistake. To Tru Yang, he was extremely respectful. Unlike Hu Yangbo, of which he never truly met, he had been with his teacher Tru Yang for too long. Over long periods of contact, he was very clear on his teacher's character, straightforward and strong, the way he treated his disciples like his own children. Extremely protective. One can pretend easily for 10 to hundreds of years, however for 1,000,000,000 years, that definitely wasn't pretending anymore. Tru Yang's character was publicly known in Primal Chaos City. Over 100 years of interaction with him, Luo Feng was able to feel his concern towards himself. He immediately bowed respectfully. Your student has had a miraculous encounter this time. Encounter. Tru Yang's eyes gleamed. Inheritance Palace. Even though Luo Feng was shocked, he didn't hesitate, right? There was no other way to explain, because in Demon Note Mountain, it was either training or dead, otherwise there was no reason to shut off communications. And training in Demon Note Mountain, unless it was the safe Inheritance Palace, there wasn't any other place to really train. Really? Tru Yang fiercely stood up. He looked at his student in disbelief. How can that be? How did you enter? Coincidence. Luo Feng smiled helplessly, pretending to look innocent. Tru Yang couldn't suppress a smile, staring at Luo Feng. However, you shouldn't have the ability to enter that at all. Speak. How many palaces are there? 32, Luo Feng said. Ha 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 ha. Tru Yang couldn't help but laugh loudly. I didn't expect the punk mist emperor to actually lose his slot to my student. Unlucky. What? Luo Feng was curious. Tru Yang smiled and looked at his disciple, explaining, the Demon Note inheritance was long discovered, and there are many with the ability to enter. However, the slots are limited. Your entering of the palace naturally took up 1 slot. And this slot was Mist Emperor's. His slot. Luo Feng realized. He really didn't know that the slots were all pre-set early on. The ignorant are not guilty. You entered through the impossible level mission. Even if the news is public later on, no one can find a fault with you. Tru Yang laughed. What's more, Mist Emperor and his teacher aren't people from the Virtual Universe Company. Hence there's no need to fear. What's more, if I keep the secret and you remain silent, they wouldn't necessarily find out it was you. Luo Feng nodded. Right? As long as he remained silent, even if people suspected, they would never believe that a Universe Level 9 was able to enter the Inheritance Palace. After all, even after he admitted, his teacher didn't fully believe him. There's also one more thing. Tru Yang looked at Luo Feng. The little genius Mo Luo from the Primal region told me some news about you. Mo Luo. A glint flashed in Luo Feng's eyes. He snorted. That punk is incredibly vicious. He may seem righteous on the outside. In truth, HMPH, if I wasn't lucky this time, I would really have been killed by him. So he actually backstabbed you. Tru Yang nodded. He said before that it was you who did so. What? I backstabbed him. Luo Feng felt rage and unfairness. He couldn't help but curse. This Mo Luo, shameless. Ha ha, the qualification battles. Do you have confidence if you meet him? Tru Yang said. Of course. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Tru Yang nodded. Your encounter this time is indeed a miracle. Only a pity your soul is still weak. You can only take so much of the inheritance. However, even so, that inheritance technique should be enough for you for 1,000,000,000 years already. Luo Feng nodded. After training, he knew the value of the technique. Raising his spirit energy amplitude from 70 to 80 until over 1,200, that was over 10 times. What treasure or weapon could have that kind of terrifying effect? After which Truyang left, after knowing his student was safe, he relaxed. Luo Feng felt gratitude as he watched his teacher vanish. As his teacher didn't pry into the details, asking just how he entered the palace, as for the golden horned beast identity, Luo Feng really didn't dare reveal it. Even his own parents and brother he didn't say. How could he? Saying that he wasn't exactly a human, but a golden horned beast. He had always regarded himself as human. It's time to meet the wife. Luo Feng immediately teleported to Black Dragon Mountain Island 9-Star Bay. A thread of his consciousness was in the virtual universe appeasing his family and friends. In reality, he was still in Demon Note Mountain's core, Inheritance Palace. In space, Luo Feng stood on the Inheritance stairs, progressing through each level. The gold soul fruit's effects were indeed strong. It made his soul go through a huge evolution. Even if I trained there for over 5 years, he still wouldn't feel any sense of fatigue. And at this time, the once every century virtual universe company universe level qualification battles were about to begin. Floating in the depths of the absolute beginning region, the majestic Demon Mountain had the one particular Inheritance Palace that had levels of stairs that extended into space, up to the 333th level. On the 1916th level, Luo Feng, who was dressed in silver armor, was like a statue sitting with his eyes closed on the stairs. His soul, however, was constantly evolving, countless engravings permeating his soul. Suddenly the statue stood up and his eyes opened, a glint in his eyes. Today is the day of the qualification battles. I'll have to slow down on the inheritance. He looked down at his feet. Beside them was an ancient peculiar stone board, the Luo Fulu board. Meld. With a thought, the board swiftly shrank and melded with his feet. His 2 years of training had finally successfully left his spirit imprint on the board. The board could change its size accordingly. It could take any form and meld with his skin or muscles, even his bones, etc. Luo Feng sent out 90% of his consciousness and swiftly entered the virtual universe. He left 10% to continue receiving the inheritance. The speed of his training would decrease greatly. It normally took a day for one level before. Right now it would probably take 10 days for one level. Your Majesty. Your Majesty. In the virtual universe absolute beginning region, the universe levels, domain lords and sector lord guards, including the staff, all bowed respectfully. Luo Feng nodded and flew into the sky heading towards Wuka's villa. Wuka's villa had become Luo Feng's, Jiang Mo, Qian Shui, Rong Jun, Lancelot, Ao Pat Ti La, Ari Chen, and Wuka's gathering spot. Gazing from above, he saw that there were already 7 people gathered there. Luo Feng. Hurry over. The tables and chairs in the villa were already filled and the people there all looked up and shouted, obviously spotting Luo Feng. I'm here. He smiled. He rushed over and instantly closed 10 kilometers and landed on the grass, walking towards the table and sitting in an empty seat. Luo Feng, today is the beginning of the qualification battles. We'll probably be gathered in a while, and yet you still took your time to get over. Look, everybody else is here. Only you, the slowest. Are we not good enough for you? Wuka lifted a 1 long piece of barbecued meat and ate. While speaking, Luo Feng didn't know what kind of meat that was. Eat finish before speaking. Luo Feng sat and lifted the wine before him, opening the cork and drinking, immediately feeling refreshed. Beside, the Dream Clan beauty Ari Chen too lifted her glass and smiled. The one with the least pressure among us is probably Luo Feng. The rest of us all have a chance of being kicked into the sky and land region. Only Luo Feng definitely won't be kicked out. Right? That group of seniors have all passed the Heavenly Bridge's 6th level. Our hopes aren't too good. The group of geniuses from all different races all chatted. You all. Luo Feng put down his wine and forced a smile. Hence the latest person here is because he's the most relaxed. Rong Jun chimed in and said. You too. Luo Feng shook his head. The competition within the absolute beginning region, he was 100% sure he wouldn't be eliminated. However, different strengths meant they had different targets. Wuka, Jiang Mo and Qian Shui with the others were worried about being kicked into the sky and land region. Luo Feng's aim, however, was to make it into the primal region, and making it there was extremely hard. Even with his current strength, he didn't have too much guarantee. Luo Feng. Wuka looked at him. Luo Feng. Jiang Mo looked over too. Luo Feng. Luo Feng. Rong Jun, Lancelot, the rest all put down their food and drinks and looked over, 7 of them looking at him. Luo Feng was stunned. Madman. Wuka emphasized, you should know the situation of us newbies, as we just joined the virtual universe company. Hence the difference between our strengths and the seniors is pretty huge, even compared to the seniors of the sky and land region's top fighters amongst the 300 seniors, we are still much weaker. Among us 8, Rong Jun may be able to fight to stay in the absolute beginning region, however, no matter how he fights, he would still be amongst the bottom here. The rest of us don't even have a hint of hope. The group was silent. Right? No hope at all. The seniors of the absolute beginning region and sky and land region had about 10 of them that all passed the 6th level of the heavenly bridge. Their level in origin law comprehension, battle experience was the pinnacle amongst the seniors. The newbies were all set to be eliminated. Without a trace of hope. They couldn't bear with this helplessness. Among the 8 of us, Luo Feng. Rong Jun said solemnly, he stared at him, only you can rush to the top. The 8 of them. 6 didn't have a hint of hope, Rong Jun too only had some chance to remain, but he'd have to give it his all. Luo Feng looked at the group of geniuses, they were all proud, however they all didn't have a glimmer of hope, only unwillingly accepting the outcome. However suppressed and angry they were within, they could only send their hopes with their fellow newbie Luo Feng. Relax. Luo Feng nodded. After about half an hour, a rumbling sound could be heard within the region. The absolute beginning universe level qualification battles are about to begin, all gather. 30 seniors and 8 newbies all looked up, the sound resounded from the skies itself, visible to the naked eye a purple armored silhouette stood there. Immediately the 38 universe level members all rushed into the skies, and all flew before that man. Look, that's Luo Fu. The strongest amongst the 30 seniors. Chemist Yu Feng. The group of geniuses in mid-air all observed their opponents, because they would all soon clash. Luo Feng too was observing 5 people. The 5 strongest of the absolute beginning seniors, from weakest, Sajin Fire Dragon, Ge, Ni Nan and the 2 strongest Chemist Yu Feng and Wolfman, Luo Fu. Sajin waved his tail, his eyes burning as he stared at Luo Feng, filled with fighting spirit, he communicated, Luo Feng, I lost last time, but this time I will win. He lost in terms of willpower before, he couldn't withstand Luo Feng's consciousness pressure. The moment he could withstand it, then his black hole evolution could truly be unleashed, Luo Feng of back then would definitely not been able to fight back. After all Sajin had passed the 7th level of the heavenly bridge much earlier. I won last time, I'll win again. Luo Feng looked back and replied. Ge. Luo Feng looked at the other man. Ge was a battle-crazy person. Even though he was the latest to pass the 7th level amongst the 5, he was more like Rong Jun, his battle talents were extremely high, similar comprehension levels, but the strength he could unleash was incredibly powerful. He had messy yellow hair and he squinted his eyes as he stood in mid-air. There were a set of little ears behind the 2 normal ones. He seemed dejected, but he still gave off the aura of a wild beast. The other geniuses of the region all stood further away from him, obviously not daring to get close. Ge glanced at Luo Feng and a glint flashed through his droopy eyes, after which he returned to his original dejected state. Ni Nan. Luo Feng glanced at the silver-armored youth. That youth was smiling. He was the easiest to get close to amongst the 5. When Luo Feng looked over, he too smiled back. Yu Feng. Chemist Yu Feng. He was the most peculiar of the 5. He was completely draped in a black robe, and one could only barely see his eyes. Luo Fu. Luo Feng looked at the strongest of the 5. Luo Fu. Dressed in grey armor with yellow fur on his face, his brown eyes gleamed with green light, his fangs poked through the corners of his mouth. He made Luo Feng feel as though he was almost like a wolf. The wolfman seemed to notice Luo Feng looking over and he turned, suddenly smiling. Rumble. Almost like a huge beast staring over, Luo Feng couldn't help but feel his hairs stand. Ha ha. Luo Fu chuckled lightly, interesting punk. The wolfman's words immediately made the rest of the seniors look over, everyone including Chemist Yu Feng all looked, while looking, they couldn't help but feel nervous. Luo Feng too stared back at the wolf man, even though he had met the primal region's Mo Luo before, his subconscious still felt. The absolute beginning region's strongest Kuluo Fu was more terrifying than the primal region's Mo Luo. This group of absolute geniuses came from many races of humans, 38 representing 38 different races. Their dressings were different too. Some were in green, others in flame robes, others giving off chilly vibes. They were all noble, but 6 of them were strongest. The 5 of the seniors and the strongest newbie Luo Feng. 6. All passed the Heavenly Bridge's 7th level. The qualification battles are very simple. U38 will battle the other 37 each 1v1. The winner will get 1 point. The loser and draws will get 0. The top 3 will be picked according to the scores, and they will have the right to challenge the slots in the primal region. The purple-armored skinny man said with a hoarse voice, even his lips were purple. The primal region has a total of 5 people. They will have their own qualification battle. Their bottom 3 will fight our absolute, beginning strongest 3. A total of 6 will vie for that one slot of the primal region. Silence. Luo Feng, Kuluo Fu, Sajin, Chemist Yu Feng, Ni Nan, Ge, the 6 eyes gleamed. 3 of our absolute, beginning against 3 of their primal region members, only 1 victor. Luo Feng's gaze swept past the 5 of them, along with 3 from the primal region. I must defeat all of them. Only through that will I become a primal region member. Part 1 end here.